Hey, this is Chugg, and in this video I'm going to be looking at my origins in Overwatch and the innovation that I discovered. It is very important to say that I was not the first person nor only person to do this, but when I developed it, it was on my own from start to finish. And I just want to share that process with you. So the core idea that begins everything is that when you engage an enemy, you want your mouse to be in the center of your pad. This lets you have the most flexibility with reacting to new information. So if I come around this corner, I don't want to just sweep my mouse around, because then the enemy's here, that's cool, I can fight. But then there's an enemy over here and maybe over here, like there could be an enemy here, and I'm getting to the edge of my pad and it's just not going to work. So this is an idea that I saw in a video by Nothing, the CS Pro, where you pick up your mouse first, put it down, and then you sweep around the corner. So my mouse is centered, so when I'm engaging this enemy, it's at the center of my playing space. This is key for low sensitivity playing. So as I was practicing this by just moving around the map, just turning around and recentering and trying to focus on targets, I realized that as Tracer, and I was also focusing, the 180 degree turn specifically is what I was looking at. If I was Tracer, I could blink and then turn around. So if there was an enemy, let's take a static enemy. I could blink past them and then do the 180 degree turn really efficiently. Okay, well when's the best time to blink? When in this cycle? Because everyone else would blink and then turn. And I say everyone else, not everyone. There are plenty of people who were doing it this way, but I had the idea of when I was doing these turns to, hey, blink then turn. When's the best time? So you want to lift your mouse, getting ready for the 180, put it down, then blink and flick. Okay? And suddenly you can get behind someone and be firing faster than 90% of the tracers. And it's like, hang on, this is really cool. And I didn't play Tracer before this. I was actually playing McCree when I made this realization. But I thought, oh, this is awesome. I want to just practice this. I just want to get good at this little technique. And I haven't done it in a while, but you can see the potential of what you can do. You can also weave in your ability. I've not done this in a while, but no, see, the muscle memory isn't there. But I was like, oh, I just want to get good at this one technique, because I did pick Tracer occasionally at the end of the map when I wanted to like rush the point and contest. But essentially, never played her. And while developing this technique, I didn't start to play her. I just, in custom games during my aim practice, I would get Tracer and just practice this as well. But who's to say that that's the only use of this? Is there something more? So you can blink through and do 180, but you could also do the 90 degree flicks as well. So what about side blinking? And if you look very carefully when I'm doing this, the bot doesn't really leave this range of my screen. He's basically always there. All the other tracers were sort of, you have to blink and then they have to recalibrate. So they would blink the side and then they would move their mouse and they'd be fighting the character, and they could be blinking up and close, and their mouse could be going wild on their pad, and they could be fighting when it's in the corner. But with me, I just focused, okay, just blink to the side and recenter. See, I did it improperly that time. But my mouse at the center. Mouse at the center. I'm ready to fight. Like, every time, every blink, just identify where's the enemy. Where can the enemy be? Around this corner? Okay, my crosshair is ready to fight the enemy, and it's in the center of my playing space. And suddenly I'm like, this is what really encouraged me, because this looked really clean from my perspective. This is like what Grandmasters and top 500 players would be doing with Tracer. And suddenly, I've refined it down to a technique that I can practice and execute and get better at and be more precise as to where I place the mouse on the pad, and to be more consistent. Because at the beginning I was like flicking here and I'd have to correct massively, but eventually it got, okay, so that's not accurate at all, I haven't done it in a while. But eventually I got it to the point where this bot would only move like this within this range, and I'd have to correct super minorly. And even if I had to correct, my mouse is at the center, so I've got the space to, engage like this. was really, really, really encouraging. Which is why I ended up going to Quake, because I thought, oh, maybe I'm good enough to play this game. Just learn the techniques, refine, get better, there you go. But essentially, yeah, practicing this not just at one range, because... Okay, hang on. This technique, you can't just do it straight off the bat. So how did I learn where to place my mouse on the pad? So reverse engineering, that's my first piece of advice. I'm going to blink to the side, and I'm going to flick. Where is my mouse on the pad? Alright, it's about here. So if we're using this box as like a guide, it's about here. So what I want is I want to lift my mouse, place it down on the pad, flick to the center, and it land right about here. So without blinking, I'm just practicing the motion of where I have to place the mouse in order to achieve this state. So just practicing this flick. So center, mouse at the center, everything centered on the bot, lift the mouse, put it down, flick to the center. Okay, see, I'm a little bit off, alright? Let's try to bring it in a little bit tighter. That's pretty good. And how many times can I do that? That's what I'm trying to build this consistency. And then, only then, lift the mouse, put it down on the pad, then I add in the blink. Blink, flick, and I'm off. There we go. And suddenly, it's there. But you got to do this at different ranges. Okay, so at this point, where do I have to flick? I have to flick in line with the box. It's pretty close. Lift the mouse, put it down. It's pretty close again. At this range, you have to compensate more because your flick range is different, and here it's smaller. So learning the dynamics of how if I'm this close, I have to move a little bit further away with my mouse, put it down, and then flick to the center in order to be in line. And it's very dynamic with, it changes how far away you have to put your mouse, but you get a feel for it after you've practiced it for however many hours. I think it was about 10 hours total that I did practice this technique across a week or so, and progressively getting a bit better and better. And combined with the newfound tracking ability that I had with my aim practice that I hope you've seen by now, of the slow flicks, giving you good tracking as well. You'd think it was just be flick training, but it's also good tracking. In this game, the movement speed of the bots is actually really slow, so it's actually really easy compared to Quake. Characters move a bit faster. But essentially, yeah. So this is what I discovered for Tracer, is centering your mouse, having your mouse centered on your pad when you're engaging an enemy after a blink, and getting that relatively consistently, like that. So that's just a little, and in the grand scheme of things, it's a little optimization. Actually, I will show something else. It's a small optimization for a fight. You are going to be firing a little bit quicker than other Tracers. So what? You still got all the decision making and awareness and timing of your attacks to actually play well, and that's absolutely true. I didn't end up playing Tracer that much, but this technique, I just got obsessed with trying to get it better. Alongside this, there's a tendency that top level players abuse against Tracers, is they would empty their clip and then blink, and then during this time of reloading they would recenter and keep fighting. But with my technique, the downtime, between before and after the blink is really small, so you can blink after using half your clip. So at the very top level, I would expect this technique to be more useful, not just more prevalent, but more useful, because players like McCree, if McCree is here fighting and they'll time the clip and okay, he's going to blink now, where is he going to blink, and just have the flick ready. But I'm going to blink before they're expecting it, because I can blink halfway through my clip, almost to the end of my clip. That's actually useless to do. If you got like 6 bullets left and I blink, I have to, it's useless. I fire 6 bullets, then I reload. It's no good. You can tickle and then blink and finish the rest of your clip. You got all these different options, but my technique means that it's easier to do those kinds of tactics. All right. So I didn't stop there. Who else is this useful for? and who other than Widowmaker? And you may think,
One shot.
this doesn't make
One
sense.
kill.
She doesn't have a blink or anything like other than every other character. Like, what makes Widowmaker different? And it's her grappling hook. So, let's say there are some guys over here. Other Widowmakers, they'll grapple up, and they'll sweep their mouse, and they'll line up, and they'll take a shot. And I can't actually do it like everyone else anymore. I'm just going to come here. So what you do is you grapple, you aim the grapple, and as you press the grappling hook, you lift your mouse, and you recenter on the enemy.
Next.
What does this do? Like, in practical terms, this means that you can scope in earlier than other Widowmakers, so your shots charge earlier, so you can get a full damage shot off earlier, and if you've got a high jump, you can actually get off 2 full charge shots. So it's important, again, it's like, when do you lift the mouse? It's as you press the grappling hook. I've spun it around almost instantly. I flick to the center, and then you scope in. An interesting note about my Widowmaker, the sensitivity is actually quite high when I'm not scoped in, and in scope is the low sense. So you grapple, and it charges much earlier than other. So if you're having a grapple, like a hook shot battle in like Widowmaker only, you're ready to go. Okay, yeah, well, I'm just a terrible shot. But you can, I hope you can see the speed at which and the confidence that I have with this flick. Oh my god. With this with this 180, I should say. But again, it's not just 180. So what other angles are there? There's this angle. And I mistimed it. So you could grappling like this, and then you have to flick down to where the enemies will be. Oh, I got thrown off by the platform. You can do all sorts of angles. Let's see. I have not played Widowmaker in a long time. This is not I'm not used to this. I was practicing Tracer before this video, but I didn't actually touch Widow. All right, maybe that'll help me. All right. But I hope you can see just the speed and the confidence with the accuracy, speed and confidence that I turn around with, and then I can scope in and have the charge up. Because there are other Widows who will scope in and just sort of they'll scope in as early as they can, and then they'll flick to where they're going. If you have a low sensitivity, your mouse almost goes off the pad. So I'll try to. It's hard to do it the way I used to. The bad way, I should say. How else am I going to show this? It's much easier to show this on actual maps with actual terrain that you would use, but there's lots of forwards. Okay, let's say, well, I'll do this one. So you can see my crosshair, like how quickly my crosshair was here, and if I didn't screw up the timing of the jump, I would be out here with my crosshair exactly where the enemies are likely to be. See? I didn't get this far with preparation. How am I going to end this? So basically, it's the same idea with Tracer. You reverse engineer what shot you need to make. So if I come up here, gotta press jump, silly. Alright, just waiting for the grapple. So what you do is you jump up, and you see where you have to aim your crosshair. So about here, that's fine. That's like in the center of everything. So this is where my crosshair has to be placed and centered after I grapple. So I grapple, pick up the mouse, put it in the top corner, flick down, and I want my mouse to be around here. So that's the this is the spot that I was aiming at. Okay? If I can get my crosshair to aim about here, after I come from up here, then I've got it right. Like that. Okay, that's how it goes. So you center here, move mouse up like a normal person, lift it, and grapple at the same time. Lift the mouse, grapple at the same time, place it down, and flick down to here. Okay? Right. you gotta hit the shot. So I hope that that was, you know, clear enough so that you can see the potential. I haven't played Widow. It's actually I'm actually really disappointed with with how messy it is, but the potential is there, and that's the point. This hasn't been terribly helpful with Quake. The abilities aren't such that this particular technique is useful. Yet, Hunter is probably going to come out soon, one of the next few heroes champions to be released. And I'm hoping that the grapple hook works like Widowmaker, and that I can actually use this technique to... Okay, well, I gotta get better at shooting. But I can use this technique of aiming the grapple and then instantly flicking to where I know my enemy is likely to be, so that my mouse is centered and I have the flexibility to deviate and be accurate with the shot. Alright, so I hope that that was helpful, and that you can use those techniques yourself with the questions that arise from your own gameplay. Find areas of difficulty that you have, things that are clean, that are not clean, that are messy, that pros do, that other players can't. Like, the main thing was that Tracer players at the top level looked so much faster and so much more frantic, yet so much more precise than all the idiot Tracers at Diamond or even Master. So what are they doing? You can look closely, like how can they be so accurate? And then you can bring in these other ideas of like, what are they fundamentally trying to do? They're trying to put their crosshair on the enemy character and still be flexible and able to switch to other characters or react to new information as it arises. Alright, so this got very messy towards the end, but I hope that it was still a helpful garbled mess. So thank you for watching, and see you later.